Afternoon, everyone. We want to thank you for joining us for our webcast. My name is Eric Junkers. I'm the president of HYTORC. I'm also joined with Mike Dolan, who's our chief engineers of our fasteners, as well as the director of our productivity enhancement group. Our goal today is to give you a general, relatively brief overview of the productivity enhancements that we can bring to the table for your company. We'll be covering a few different topics today, mainly dealing with safety and productivity enhancements in industrial bolting in the oil and gas industry. As there's just not enough time to go into tremendous detail into everything, we ask that if you have any questions, please ask them during the presentation or reach out to us after the presentation, and we'll be happy to take you through the answer on that question in any depth that you need. As for the questions submitted, we'll answer any ones that we can as time allows. I'll figure out how to switch slides here. That one? Okay. For those of you who are unfamiliar with HYTORC, we were founded in 1968 when we invented the world's first hydraulic torque tool. Ever since then, we've been the worldwide leader in industrial bolting solutions, inventing every major innovation in our field along the way. HYTORC's mission, as seen here, has remained the same since day one: to optimize safety, quality, and schedule through innovative solutions and unyielding commitment to customer satisfaction. Since our founding in 1968, we at HYTORC accomplish our mission by providing our customers with a certain standard of excellence. With HYTORC, you can rest assured that you'll receive equipment with superior technology and quality, as well as worldwide support from dedicated bolting specialists. Our rigorous standards for equipment and personnel is what enables us to deliver advantages over any other tooling provider, resulting in vast productivity enhancements to your work. While there may be other companies who provide industrial bolting equipment, there really is only one HYTORC. HYTORC is a very different company than others. We were founded because we recognized a need within heavy industry. That need was for safer, faster, and better quality industrial bolting work. The methods and equipment used prior to us were heavy, slow, and unsafe. With our invention of the hydraulic torque wrench, we changed all of that. From that point forward, HYTORC has been the leader in this field, continuing the quest to make industrial bolting safer, faster, and easier by means of new innovative products, customized solutions, and an ever-growing team of worldwide bolting specialists. With over 500 dedicated sales representatives throughout the world, along with over 100 mobile service vehicles, HYTORC can provide you with a uniform level of world-class service wherever you may reside. When it comes to how you can obtain equipment from HYTORC, there are many options and customized packages available. Whether it's purchasing equipment outright, renting daily, weekly, or monthly, rent-to-own programs, leasing, long-term service agreements, or financing, we'll work with you and your company to get you the tooling you need to get the job done right. Our efforts to enhance industrial bolting go well beyond equipment. HYTORC also offers a number of different services. Our free on-site application surveys are available to anyone worldwide at absolutely no cost or obligation. With many different options available, an on-site survey allows us to develop an intimate level of understanding of what challenges you are facing so that we can propose the right solution for the job. We're also performing many lunch and learn sessions with many companies around the world. These sessions are casual discussions where we can share our experiences with your team and, just as importantly, hear from your side what it is that you're seeing in your work. With over 50 years of experience dedicated to industrial bolting, we generally have seen and worked on most applications. If we have not, we will task our team of engineers with developing the right solutions for the job. Moving on, our turnaround rental kits have become very popular in recent years. They allow a customer to have all of the right equipment readily available for their maintenance work. This reduces delays in job time while enhancing safety and job quality. They're also entirely customizable. We'll fill these kits with whatever equipment is right for the work that you're embarking upon. Lastly, our training team, the HYTORC Bolting Institute, has worked with many of the key training institutions on a worldwide basis, like OSHA and ASME here in the States, to offer bolting-specific training courses. These courses go into great depth on how to safely and effectively use industrial bolting equipment. We feel confident that these trainings go a long way in helping your efforts to have a safer and more productive workplace. For any of these services, please simply inquire with us and we can provide you with pricing and further information. Some of the topics we're going to cover during this webinar are as follows. We're going to take you through a brief review of our tooling options that we have available. We're also going to go through some of the self-reacting technology, what they are and the benefits that they can bring. We're going to take you through our different fastener options, the self-reacting fastener options that we offer. We're also going to go through some examples of oil and gas applications where our tooling and self-reacting fasteners were used. And then we will have, as mentioned before, an online Q&A session with the remaining time that we have. The balance of any of the questions that you asked that we're not able to get to, we'll respond to through email. And as mentioned, we are available for any questions that you may have afterwards. You can reach out to us. Our email addresses will be provided at the end. So on this slide, you see a breakdown of the tooling that we offer. You have our hydraulic square drive tools that you can see there on the bottom left. That's our ICE tool. The ICE is our latest square drive tool, and it ultimately has two major advantages when compared with others. There's the world's first auto-release holding pole, which ensures that the tool will never get stuck on the job, and it also has the world's first 360 by 360 by 180 swivel. This, along with our inline reaction member, makes this the most versatile tool in the market, allowing it to fit in many areas where other hydraulic torque tools cannot. Not pictured here, but what we also offer in our square drive offering is our Avanti tool, some of you may be familiar with. The Avanti series offers the widest range of torque output with a maximum output of more than 130,000 foot-pounds. If you happened to be at the OTC show last week, you may have seen it in person. With tens of thousands in use around the world, the Avanti is a very trusted solution for next-generation bolting. Also not pictured here, but a very popular option from us is our MXT tool. The MXT is the world's best-selling industrial bolting system with over 100,000 in use around the world. Since 1990, the signature blue housing has represented quality, durability, and reliability on job sites in every major industry. And finally, also not pictured, but the other last offering in our square drive tools is our Edge. This is for general maintenance that requires high torque values and repeatable results. The Edge is truly a workhorse of ours. This straightforward three-moving part design was created by us at HYTORC over 30 years ago and is consistently improved, resulting in the most tried and tested line of hydraulic torque wrenches in the world. Next to the ICE on the screen, you have our Stealth tool. These are part of our limited clearance tool offerings. They're used for any applications where you encounter overhead or radial clearance issues. The Stealth is the world's fastest, thinnest limited clearance tool in the market. It is also the only limited clearance tool that is FME compliant. Not pictured, but a very popular offering is our XLCT, which is the sister tool to the MXT. XLCT is the world's best-selling limited clearance industrial bolting system with over 100,000 in use around the world. Lastly, you have our Versa tool, which is the sister tool of the Edge, and has the same straightforward three-moving part design that has consistently been improved upon over the years. The reason we carry all of these options of hydraulic tooling is that every job has different requirements. The unique features of these tools allow each one of them to do something that the others cannot. If you'd like to get a better understanding of what tooling is right for your work, just let us know and a local bolting specialist will come out and provide you with his suggestions. He will go through the benefits and drawbacks of each tool system so you end up with the right tool for the job, as well as perform a free on-site survey. One of the major evolutions that has occurred within HYTORC over the last 15 or so years has been the development of the portable tooling. The reason we developed these tools was simply to address needs within industry. Our customers were looking for ways to perform their bolting work faster and easier, and after 15 years, our portable tooling products are now a major part of our product offering. With these portable tools, we have a few different options. We first came out with our J-guns, which are air-powered, which you can see on the bottom right, the black tool there. They've been out now for about that 15-year period, and they're now widely considered the premier air torque multipliers in the market. Next to that, left of that on the screen, you have our battery tools, which were released just about 3 or 4 years ago. These are our lithium guns, our lithium series of battery-operated tools. The lithium lithium battery-powered guns are our latest addition, and they take portability and intuitive operation to another level. We also offer in that series what we call our Lion gun, that's powered by an 18-volt lithium-ion battery as opposed to a 36-volt lithium-ion battery, and it's designed for smaller applications with a max torque requirement of 700 foot-pounds, whereas the 36-volt unit goes up to 3,000. These smaller units are ideal replacement for heavier and less accurate impact wrenches and manual wrenches. The units are quite intelligent. They offer intuitive use and a number of unique features like torque and angle, documentation, and a number of other things that are developing as we speak with numerous updates coming to the system. In addition to our tooling, we have some very unique power pack offerings that provide significant value. You can see that on the top right. That is our vector pump that we're showing here. That is the latest offering from us and provides our customers with unprecedented features. With an LCD pendant, as you can see to the left of it, this guides you through the operation. It allows one for very intuitive use, very simple use. It also allows one to set the torque value of the unit that they want to operate without having to manually regulate it, which is what is commonplace throughout hydraulic power packs in the industry. There is also available options like documentation, wireless controls, and so forth. It's really the world's most advanced smart pump, and it was just released from us approximately 1 or 2 years ago. And, you know, there's a number of different pumping options besides the vector pump that, again, we can take you through in further detail. You can go to our website to see all of the different options and get an understanding of what it is that we can offer. Our goal is simply to offer you the right equipment for the job you are facing. We have the largest product offering available, and we do have great confidence that we can provide you with the tooling to get your job done in the best way possible. And that is always our goal. At this point, I will allow Mike Dolan to take you through some of the specifics on some of the fasteners and the technology that we are talking about, and I'll be back at the end. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Really appreciate you joining this webinar. We do have a lot of unique technology here at HYTORC, and fortunately, you know, when we get an opportunity with a group like you to explain it to you on a webinar like this, we're really able to convey all the benefits. We wish they sold themselves, but really this person-to-person touch is really nice. So our fasteners are some of our most key products. Our self-reacting fasteners are things that we've developed to make the hydraulic torque tools much more safe and also to eliminate a lot of the challenges that are common in conventional bolting. And we've got 3 main categories of fasteners that we use to achieve these goals. I've shown them here on this slide here. On the very top, you see the HYTORC tension nut. We've been selling them for close to, actually, a little over 20 years. There are a couple 100,000 of them in the marketplace right now, largely used on steam turbines and all kinds of different industries, but largely in power and nuclear power. They are basically mechanical tensioners that eliminate galling from fastening process, which is a pretty important benefit. We also have the HYTORC gall-free nut. This is shown in the middle there. That's a brand new product. It's been in the market for about a year and a half, 2 years. It's already a really, really big seller. We've got commitments for a couple 100,000 of them already, and so this is a very new and aggressively positioned product. It actually eliminates all the galling just like the HYTORC nut does. It doesn't offer pure tensioning, but one of the nice benefits is that it can be used with conventional tools. You don't have to, it doesn't require special tooling to install it or remove it. And when you combine it with the HYTORC washer below, you also get some of the other benefits that exist with the HYTORC tension nut. And those include the elimination of side load, the elimination of pinch points, and obviously galling elimination with a hands-free and reaction arm-free operation. So by combining simple fasteners with torque tools, you can really achieve a lot of benefits. And we're going to show you some examples of how we do that. Hopefully you have some questions that we can fill in for you at the end of this. In the oil and gas world, it's common to interface very large fasteners, and this is where this technology really makes a lot of sense. Like Eric had mentioned, we actually have torque tools, standard torque tools in stock that can impart up to 130,000 foot-pounds on a fastener. And with all those torque tools, we'll also offer specialized self-reacting fasteners to make the application of torque safe and much more convenient. And when you work with large fasteners, something else that you'll run into, especially in the oil field, where you like to use higher alloys, materials that are corrosion resistant and temperature resisting, they have a tendency to want to gall. That's a cold welding of the threads or a cold welding of the bearing surfaces. And when that occurs, it can cause a lot of downtime. Oftentimes you got to machine something off, cut it off, torch it off, because the fasteners just had an issue. They galled. The threads cold welded. We have solutions to remove that completely, to make the whole entire process a lot more convenient and user friendly. And these solutions are really important on the downstream side, where you have high temperatures on things like pressure vessels. I always want to make sure you understand why we did all this stuff and where we started. When you think about fastening, and honestly, fastening is something that's so commonplace that we don't really put much thought into it. I know I haven't in my entire career until I really started with HYTORC a decade ago. But there's a lot to it. And one of the main things that you can do when you need to impart larger torques on something is use a longer wrench. And you can see up on the right-hand side there that this is what these two gentlemen are trying to do. They obviously can't get that fastener loose, and so what they're doing is getting a longer wrench, and they're getting two people to pull on it. At some point, the fasteners get too large to use that type of approach. It just becomes impractically long, the wrench. When an engineer puts on a drawing, apply 4,000 or 5,000 foot-pounds or something, the idea that someone can pull on a wrench kind of falls apart, because the wrench would need to be 40 foot long. So hydraulic torque tools have solved this problem. They've solved this problem for quite some time now, 50 years at least. We started this in 1968. And they have tremendous benefits, because you don't have to worry about the inconvenience of loading up large fasteners. But there are some drawbacks to hydraulic torque tools that we've experienced over the years. A lot of them relate to safety risks. And when you essentially remove the long wrench and the process of pulling on a wrench, you replace it with a short wrench, and you need to put a lot of force on that very short wrench. And so if you really want to think about a hydraulic torque tool, essentially what it is a very, very short wrench with a lot of force being applied to it. That's the converse of what you do with what you see in that right-hand picture up there. You're using a very, very long wrench with not so much force applied to it. But at the end of the day, if you're going to apply that kind of force, you got to react it. And all of our tools for all of these years had reaction arms. And reaction arms work fantastic. They can work on the adjacent nut, and they will allow you to create a boatload of torque with a very lightweight tool and convenient tool. The main risk is the safety risk, and we've been doing this long enough to know that no matter how hard you try, people will make a mistake, and those mistakes can be catastrophic, especially when it comes to hand injuries. So all the technology that we're sharing with you when it comes to the fasteners, actually the genesis for all that was in safety. The good news is there's been a whole bunch of other benefits that come with that, including removing side load and making the job more convenient. So we're going to give you some examples of how all this works out. The discovery itself and our reaction point was quite simple. I always say, I don't know why I didn't think of this myself. Our founder actually invented these ideas more than 20 years ago. But he had a simple discovery, and the discovery was that washers do not move. So when you look at a washer underneath a nut or a bolt, when you tighten that bolt by pulling on the wrench, if you watch the washer, you'll notice one thing. It has a tendency to stay still. It does not have a tendency to rotate. And even if it were to rotate, it would want to rotate with the nut. And so what we realized at that point is maybe we can find a better reaction point in the washer as opposed to some adjacent point that our reaction arm would work on. And by doing that, we've managed to remove this very unsafe reaction arm from all of our hydraulic torque tools with the simple addition of a reaction washer to the system. We have a little twist on this reaction washer because we've got some more benefit that we discovered along the way. You can see on the top side here, the top portion of the slide, that is our actual reaction washer. The reaction washer has we call it a flower pattern. I've heard some people call it a sprocket pattern, but basically that feature you see on the outside diameter of that is something that will allow us to rotationally couple the tool with the washer. By doing that, we can remove the reaction arm from the tool. And if you look at the pictures below, especially the one in the middle, you'll see the tool doesn't have a reaction arm on it. That tool can tighten that fastener to any torque that you like, take it all the way to yield if you like, without pushing off of any external feature. And that's a tremendous accomplishment, and it brings a lot of convenience, a lot of safety, and some of the drawbacks that were conventionally known of reaction arms, including side load, are completely removed. As a result of this discovery with the reaction washer, we also had another minor discovery, and it turns out to be quite significant. You see the next component there in the middle of the page is the backup washer. The backup washer is simply a knurled washer. It's knurled on both sides. We can put them on the back side of any double-nutted bolted assembly, and by doing that, we entirely remove the need for a backup wrench. And we've learned over the years that reaction arms on tools, are quite dangerous, and the injuries that might occur can be quite catastrophic. And so we definitely want to remove that risk. The magnitude of the risk is really, really high. But backup wrenches also cause a lot of injuries. They may not be as severe, but they oftentimes get stuck after you're done tightening a bolt, and you're forced to bang them out of there with a hammer or some other persuasive means. And that can oftentimes lead to things bouncing around and falling out of racks and obviously cause an unsafe condition. So backup wrenches, removable backup wrenches is a tremendous increase in safety on a job site, and this is a simple way to do that. We can't imagine why anybody would ever use a backup wrench again if you can just put one of these washers under there. It just makes such sense to make the job that much simpler. Whenever we bring up the washers, it's always an important constraint to make sure we can convey to the engineers that might specify a washer what these washers are made of and how they work on your application. I don't think I could accomplish all that in this slide or even in this whole presentation today, but the fact of the matter is we want you to understand that we do know fasteners quite well, and we're very well versed at helping you figure out what you need to do to determine the applicability of these fasteners. There's two different, entities in our equation. We sell tools to maintenance people, and we sell fasteners to engineers. The engineers don't always know about all the drawbacks that are involved with the reaction arms, and so they're less inclined to even consider something like this without the craft or the maintenance people recommending it. And so we're always trying to help you connect those dots, and oftentimes at an early stage, especially with a new product like this, it's a little bit challenging to make sure that everybody's on the same page and understands why we're doing this and what the benefits are. And it's easy to dismiss it. We've even heard people suggest that washers are really not a preferred approach for bolting. We would beg to differ with objective arguments. But what we've done is we've made these washers so that they conform to the most common washer standard, which is the ASTM F436. We can also manufacture them from special materials. We do stock them in stainless steel. We stock them black. We stock them galvanized. And we're willing to do special geometries. I mean, we run into things like socketed cap screws. We run into things like special hex bolts or radiuses. Some industries use their own fastener types like HV bolts. There really isn't anything we can't tackle. I actually I head up our team of business development people called the PEG team that helps our large customers really work out the technical details of getting these washers specified. So if this looks interesting to you, we really hope that you'll engage with us and we can help you figure out what the best way to apply it is. It certainly will make the job safer, it will make the application of the fastening more convenient, and it will actually improve the quality of the load because you're removing some of the unwanted side loads and bending forces that aren't necessarily something that were ever necessary or wanted during a torquing process. And we'll talk about them a little bit more here. So I talked about side load and backup wrenches, and this is just a really good illustration to give you an idea what we're talking about. Frankly, no hydraulic torque tool supplier would ever want to talk about side loads because it's something that's been pretty well ignored for a long time. And for the most part, it can be ignored. It doesn't cause dramatic problems, but there are some risks with it. And so whenever you're using a reaction arm to load up a fastener, you're going to be pushing off of something external. You can see that on the left-hand side. That's a reaction arm pushing off the adjacent nut. If you're going to put 1,000 or 2,000 foot-pounds on that nut, you're also going to put a lot of force on the adjacent nut that you're pushing off. If it's 4 inches away and you're using a 2,000 foot-pound spec, you're actually putting 6,000 pounds of side load on that fastener. 6,000 pounds of side load, most fasteners can carry, but let's face it, that's like hanging a truck off the fastener while you try and turn the nut. It's certainly not good for making sure the nut's centered. It's certainly not good for making sure you get the most accuracy out of your helical threads. And so by removing that unwanted side load, you remove the stresses, but you also make the nut and stud threads mate more purely, more cleanly on a pure center-to-center basis. And then you can also see whenever you're tightening a fastener, especially a double nutted one, some of that torque that gets applied to the nut also gets transferred to the stud through friction. And therefore, you need a backup wrench. And that backup wrench also has the same problems. It adds some side load. It has a tendency to want to get stuck there. And without it, you can't. You literally can't tighten the joint. You'll just keep spinning the backup nuts. So what happens is people will put a backup wrench on the bottom side. And oftentimes that backup wrench gets stuck in there and can be a projectile. Also, when you talk about just the manpower required, when you have a backup wrench, you actually need 2 people to work the joint. And so when you use the HYTORC washer system, you get the safety, you get the productivity, and you get the quality. You no longer need 2 people. You can address the entire joint from one side. So the conventional arrangement on the right-hand side there with our HYTORC washer system is shown, and you can see how everything's really nice and clean. Everything lines up the way it's supposed to. The torque that you're applying to that nut is delivered through the sleeve socket, and we react on the washer. That green washer is our reaction washer. That's our washer with the flower pad on the outside. And on the back side, we put the double knurled backup washer, which means you no longer need an operator on that side and you no longer need a backup wrench. You can actually just ignore it and operate from the top side. So you get a much cleaner, much more ideal loading situation, and you've done it at an increased level of safety. At some point in time, and these are fairly new products, they've only been in the market for a couple of years. I think about 3 or 4 years right now, but we're selling them as fast as we can make them, actually, and ultimately we think they're going to take over. I mean, why would you want to have a reaction arm like you have on the left there when you can react on the washer? You always have a reaction point right where you want it, right where you need it. It's as simple as putting a HYTORC washer underneath the nut. Just to elaborate on the finger pinching and some of the other benefits, when we talk about finger pinching, you can see there on the top hand and top left-hand side, that hand in between the arm and the nut. Something we never want to see happen, but if you're a torque tool supplier like we are, and you do this for 50 years, it will happen on occasion, and it's our goal to make sure it never happens again. And we have one way to absolutely positively affirm that. If you put our washer on there and you don't use a reaction arm, you can't pinch your finger in that way. And if you use our backup washer, you get the same exact benefit on the backside. You no longer have to worry about the risk of a wrench falling or somebody pinching their finger on that backup wrench because they didn't expect it to move. Real simple changes, but huge benefits. And it takes both the engineers and the maintenance people that are executing this work to get on the same page to make sure this gets implemented. And we've got a team that will help you make all that happen. Make sure that we can, make sure this technically viable thing is also commercially viable on your projects. One thing we didn't talk about too much is just that washers do also remove some of the unnecessary friction that you'll have on a flange face. There are folks that believe that washers maybe are not ideal. In reality, there are a lot of reasons that people don't use washers. None of them are good, and we're happy to talk about that in more detail. But ultimately, flange faces are typically made of mild steel. Mild steel, when you run a 2H or any hex nut into that surface, has a tendency to want to gall or marry it covalently. It's basically a bonding that happens, and it really eats up your friction and makes the process inaccurate. By putting a washer under it, you remove all that risk. You're able to make the load precision of the fastener and repeatability much better just because you've got a good hardened surface to work with. So we always recommend washers. And even in the absence of all these benefits under any nut, a hardened washer is a really good way to make sure that you're going to have better integrity to the bolt loads that you're after. What's wrong with it? Sorry, I got it. All right, so we operate these fasteners with a special drive assembly. And the neat thing is HYTORC has done a very good job of making sure we make this available to all of our customers. So Eric talked about our tools. We have a hydraulic tool, we've got pneumatic tools, and we've got electric tools. All the latest tools, especially the square drive tools, but even the low clearance tools, which we'll talk about, you can use them out of the box with these self-reacting fasteners. It's as simple as installing a special socket. We call it a driver, but it's really just a dual sleeve socket. So you can see that in the center at the top there. The socket assembly has a conventional socket on the inside, and it's got a reaction sleeve on the outside. That will adapt to any of our square drive tools, Avani, ICE, J-guns, battery guns, and we make enough of these that socket assembly is really not all that expensive. An 1.5 inch socket assembly might only be $200–300, so it's really not a huge investment. We're doing tremendous volume with these right now. The low clearance side of this, we do couple these washers. A lot of people ask us, hey, can you use these with a low clearance tool? Well, absolutely you can use it with a low clearance tool. In fact, it's quite simple. It's even simpler than with a square drive tool. If you notice on this picture in front of you, you have a stealth tool. On that stealth tool, we simply attach a holding plate. You can see that black plate on the bottom. That has the flower pattern for the washer built into it. And when you put that onto a fastener with our washer underneath, you no longer have to use the reaction pad on that tool. There's no way to pinch your fingers because you're going to react on the washer as opposed to reacting on the adjacent nut. Additionally, in some cases, these tools want to be hung upside down. They want to be used on horizontal flanges, and we have a retainer assembly that you can see on the left there. That is a threaded assembly that allows us to attach this tool to a fastener so you can do it hands-free even when it's upside down. With our battery guns, obviously, you know, we talked about that a little bit in the last slide, but this has become a really, really potent combination for us, washers with battery guns. People are switching to battery guns faster than we ever imagined. We have battery guns from 250 foot-pounds up to 3,000 foot-pounds. They obviously have tremendous portability, and they're lightweight. When you use them with the washer, they're even lighter weight because what you're essentially doing is removing the need for a large reaction arm. And so many of our customers have first learned about our washers with our battery guns and have adopted the two together. It's a very common approach for us right now. Don't be fooled to think that they can only be used with the washers, obviously. I mean, the battery guns, they can be used with reaction arms and like any other torque tool, but more often than not, since you're buying a new tool, people consider these tools right away, right out of the box with the washer as an accessory. We've also wanted to make this stuff as readily and conveniently available to job sites as possible. We know that you don't always plan on being into a tough spot where you need to get a reaction arm that maybe needs to be modified or needs to be blocked with 2x4s or 4x4s. But we spend enough time in the field to see what people are doing, and there's some stuff out there that would make you want to cringe. I mean, they're literally loading up, you know, lumber as a reaction point so they can actually get a bolt tight. Obviously, that we don't always think that that's the best way to do it. But, you know, in a pinch, the craft will do what they have to do to get the job done. So what we want to do on occasion, if possible, is make these washers available on the job site. And so please ask us about this. But what we've done in some of the shops around the country is we'll put a kit of washers right there on the shop floor. So when they're in the position where they need to improvise and find a new and better way to react, they have the reaction washer at arm's reach, and they also have the tooling or drivers to make that happen. So we're real keen into trying to help you make sure that this is not just something that's engineered, but something that can be installed in a pragmatic and ready to use kit. So please ask us about that if this is of interest to you. Just getting into some of the applications in the oil and gas business, I'll focus on the downstream stuff a little bit here. There's all kinds of different applications, exchangers, pumps, valves, turbines, reactors, coker units, pressure vessels. The downstream side is really the richest area for us for applications, largely because you do a lot of processing, which requires high temperatures and requires a lot of complex plumbing, and oftentimes it's very difficult to get to the fasteners. You can see some of these pictures here. That one on the left there is actually a flange with a coker unit. On the bottom, you've got some exchanger nozzles, and you can see, just to give you an idea of what we're talking about as far as time savings, never mind the safety and the quality, which is really important. I mean, obviously, you can't pinch your finger without a reaction arm. But one of the nice benefits is you can use multiple tools at the same time because you don't have a reaction arm. You're not worried about the tools flopping around. And it's really easy to reduce the amount of time it takes to do a job. So this exchanger nozzle on the bottom left-hand side, this was quite a long job. It took them 7 hours and 15 minutes, and they were doing ultrasonic testing, and they even had some leaking occasionally. We went ahead and did the job with our HYTORC tools, multiple tools, but we were able to do it in 3 hours. It saves them 4 hours and 15 minutes, and they didn't have any leaking because they're getting the right loads. They're not treating the fasteners like reaction members. They're just using them to turn the nut, and so adding the washers really does add a lot of productivity and safety benefits. Ooh. On the midstream applications, the midstreams are also, there's a lot of maintenance work that happens on the compressors. There's a lot of equipment and pipe work and flange work on the pigging side. You've got filtration units, you've got engine management, you've got transportation management. You're moving stuff around with trucks and stuff. And you got a lot of just conventional flange work. It's not as rich of a target area as maybe the downstream size, but there's a tremendous amount of opportunity to make the bolting work that's usually routine and frequent much more convenient. Where when you talk about the downstream time, you're talking about outages that maybe only occur every few years. These guys in the midstream often do work a lot more frequently, so sometimes the productivity benefits are valued even more. So if you're working in that environment, please don't hesitate to reach out to us and let us at least show you what our washers and battery guns can do. There's always ways to improve the way your process is working right now when it comes to bolting. Upstream applications, obviously there's a lot of different aspects of that. You got offshore stuff, you got fracking equipment. We get involved in a little bit of all of it, and sometimes in very different ways. Hydraulic tools, battery guns, HYTORC washers, gall-free nuts. Over the years, we've done a lot of work with fluid ends and all kinds of fracking equipment, pumps. We've done more and more in the last few years. That business has grown for us aggressively. You can see on the top right-hand side, there's a frac pump there, that fluid end on a frac pump there that we've done a lot of work to help one of our customers optimize. Right below that, you can see the battery guns being used on that in conjunction with our washers. On the left-hand side, you can see some riser equipment that we use in the North Sea. In order to improve the productivity with that equipment, they've actually went ahead and used multiple tools, and they used our HYTORC nuts. A little difficult to see in that picture, but that's actually an application where they required tension, and we went ahead and applied HYTORC nuts, HYTORC tension nuts, to actually load those bolts. And the same thing on that clamp on the bottom. Again, another very tight spot, and the counterbore needed to get a lot of load on it, wanted to tension it, and we were able to apply HYTORC nuts and with a special driver with an extension on it that you can see to really achieve those goals in such a way that the safety was met, the quality was met, and productivity is really untouchable. I mean, we can tighten those fasteners up in literally minutes as opposed to hours with other equipment. Okay, this concludes the formal portion of this slideshow. We have a question and answers section on here. We're hoping that we can answer some of your questions live right here from the portal. And then what we can't get to, as Eric mentioned, we'll get back to you with email. So we're poking through that right now, and as soon as we've answered all the questions that come through, we will collect anything additional, and we will get back to you. So we really thank you for your time and look forward to your questions.
All right. We've got a question from George, which asks, if I have older model tools, how can I upgrade? Do you offer anything for older tools? Yes, we certainly do have an upgrade program, and you get a certain percentage off or towards that tool, towards the purchase of a new tool, and it can go up to 30% of the value of the old tool, depending on the condition, obviously. But just simply speak with your local representative, and we'll provide you with a quotation. And just also on that end, with regards to competitors' tools, yes, we will buy back competitors' tools, and that's something that you can certainly speak with your local representative that you can find if you're looking to find who is in your area. Just simply go to HYTORC.com. On the main page, you'll get you'll have a list of all of our representatives. We have a question from. We got a few questions coming in. What kind of time savings can I expect to see for my bolting work? Mike, you want to?
Yeah, time savings on your bolting work is a really good question. It's a tough question to answer broadly, so we'd like to engage with you. We see some applications where they can literally cut their time down to 25% of what it was taking with conventional tooling. Normally that's done through the application of multiple tools. So for instance, they might be doing a process right now with one tool. It can be difficult to use more than one tool when you're using a conventional approach because they have reaction arms. They got to find a place to react. And when you have more than one tool looking for a reaction point, you really need one operator on each tool. So if you don't have a team of people to stand on each tool, using multiple tools is sometimes not possible. With the HYTORC washer, the HYTORC nut, or any of our self-reacting fasteners, it's really more convenient to put multiple tools on. Once you put the tool onto the fastener, you no longer need to worry about the reaction point. It engages the washer directly, and you're hands-free and remote. So basically, there's no good reason not to use more than one tool when you're tightening up fasteners with our system. And so in some cases, easy to bring it down to 25% of what you were doing conventionally. In other cases, maybe we didn't do as good because you were using multiple tools already, but ultimately the safety and convenience side of it, coupled with better quality, even a 20% gain can seem significant if there's enough work, enough volume of work. So every application is different, hard to answer broadly, but the ability to do it hands-free with less operators and more tools surely makes it possible to have some significant productivity gains.
Question from Brad, what range of torque are your battery guns able to produce? What are their weight specifications? Currently, our battery gun goes up to 3,000 foot-pounds, and the weight obviously depends on the model. We have a number of different offerings. The Lion units, the 18 volts, there's two of those, one maxed out at 250 foot-pounds, one maxed out at 700 foot-pounds. So obviously the weight varies as you go through it. Then we go to a 1, we have a 2, we have a 3. All of the specifications are on our website as far as the weight and the speed and so forth and so on, so you can find that one out. But yeah, we go up to 3,000 with future plans to go up to 5,000. So that's gives us a pretty wide range. We can go all the way from 35 foot-pounds to right now 3,000, future 5,000. So we feel confident that we know we can hit on most all applications that we generally see out there.
Okay, we had a question, have you available on YouTube a video about the washer system performance? We have a tremendous amount of content on our website and on YouTube. The washer system performance is it's kind of a broad question. Again, largely with the washers, yes, if you want to see mechanically how they work, no question about it, you could just YouTube HYTORC washer and you'll find some great videos. What we'll do is we'll take your contact information and we'll send you a link to those videos after this presentation. But if you do want to see how it works, that really is a great way to do it. You can also go to our website. And but I want to point out that the system itself, you know, you need to put our washer on there to take advantage of it, and that's not always something that's as straightforward as just buying it with the tool. Oftentimes, you got to get this passed through your engineering department, through your engineering groups at your sites. And that's one thing that HYTORC recognizes and has a team to help support you with. So if you have an application where you want to use the washer, we will send our engineers. We have business development, sales engineers that will sit down with your engineers and really help them understand why, what the risks are and what the benefits are, so that this is something that you can install without any pushback. And I think that's important, because oftentimes people want to use these but just don't realize that sometimes it takes a little bit more than just saying, hey, I want to use it. You actually have to kind of push it through the right channels. And we're very astute to helping you push those buttons and get it done. So please engage with us if you want to use these washers. We will leverage everything we have to help you get these safety benefits in your hands.
And just one point on that as well, when it comes to the installation of these washers, we've been offering these for a number of years now, and we have installed them on quite a few different applications within the oil and gas industry, to the tune of well over 100,000 installed in the industry. So if you have an application which you're curious about, whether it would work or how it would work, how it would perform, simply inquire with us, and we'll let you know our experiences with it, what we were able to accomplish, what gains, what value we were able to deliver on that. And we've worked with most all of the large oil companies in one area or another, and we have relationships with most of them. And so just let us know what it is you're facing, and we can provide you with some further information on that to help guide you along.
We got a question about the washer longevity. Can you reuse the reaction washers, or are they one and done? They're absolutely reusable. I mean, we wouldn't mind if you bought new ones every time, but the fact of the matter is, if you treat them correctly, they're like any other washer. So what happens is, at some point they will wear out, especially if you choose to reuse them without lubricant. But if you put these washers on and off over and over on an application, and you use lubricant, you can use them, you know, maybe even scores of times. The fact of the matter is, on high temperature applications where maybe you're using them on a reactor or using them on some flange work that's high temp, when you go take them apart a couple of years later, the lubricant's gone, and when you go disassemble, you're at risk of damaging the surface of the washer and nut. And a lot of those applications, if there's any damage at all to the washer and nut, we'd recommend replacing them. And in those cases, these things are inexpensive enough that most customers will just choose to plan on having replacements after a long period of time. So if you got them, you know, coming apart in a turnaround, they've been on an exchanger and they've been sitting at 800 degrees for 5 years, it's probably worth buying new ones. But the fact of the matter is, they're very inexpensive, and they certainly are not one and done if you're using them more frequently than that.
Question, where can I find more information on HYTORC's mobile service vehicle program? Certainly on our website, there's quite a bit of information. We have them, as I mentioned earlier, we have quite a few on a worldwide basis. The United States certainly has the most comprehensive coverage of mobile service vehicles, but there are many, many countries around the world where we also have it. And as briefly mentioned, they provide on-site calibration, repairs, loaner equipment, so forth and so on. So just go to our website or email us, or email your local representative, and he can provide you some further information. But they've proven to be really helpful in reducing tooling downtime and getting you back at work, back online quicker. So it's definitely a worthwhile program for you to consider if you have not as of yet. So just simply inquire with us, and we're happy to send you the information. And it's also what they can offer you is, if you've never used it, they can come out and do a free tooling inspection, check out all of your equipment, make sure it's up to spec, and provide you then with a proposal to do any repairs or anything like that.
I see a question about our experience. It says, what is your experience with offshore applications? Can your tools be used subsea? And yes, absolutely. Our tools and fasteners can and have been used subsea. This is With the fasteners, you have to be really careful and make sure you understand the constraints. We do. Obviously, I showed you some pictures of risers and also tools that were actually used subsea for tightening. Essentially, the only real constraints are making sure that you understand the risks of subsea work when it comes to metallurgy, and that's hydrogen embrittlement, stress corrosion cracking. We've been at this a long time, and we understand those risks, and when we are asked to engage with you on a project like that, we're quite capable of applying all of the best practices to make sure that you've got a safe way of doing this. So the fasteners are absolutely no problem. The tools themselves, of course, they're hydraulic tools, work really well underwater. I mean, they're sealed as a result of being hydraulic. We've been using them underwater for a very long time. I mean, maybe since we started. It's hard to say where all your tools are used, but subsea has never been a problem. In some environments, we've actually used special oils so that they're safe in the environment because they're going to use them subsea, and they want to make sure if there was ever a leak for some reason, a hose broke or something, that it wouldn't contaminate the water. So no problem using the tools subsea, you know, with the exception of maybe the battery guns. But the hydraulic stuff really works well on subsea applications.
Okay, I think we got time for probably one more. Let's see here.
So Sean asked here, how much do you charge to come on site to do survey for my equipment? The good news is we don't charge for surveys. We actually understand that oftentimes leveraging all the benefits that we have requires that you spend a little time with us, or we spend a little time with you. And this is especially true with the fasteners, and so we're always willing to support you on that. Like we said, we have over 500 people around the world, and we make sure that they're local. We know that we make sure that they're available free at all times. One thing that we know is that a lot of our customers don't want our tools. They need them, and they need them now. And so we've built an organization that can support that type of a need. But with the fasteners, more importantly, when it comes to surveying and understanding the applications, we've added a team that can help your engineers really bring this stuff into focus. So when we come on site, we actually usually, you know, on the fasteners, we're inclined to come in and survey for free, but we also have a tendency to try to get a group together, and we'll offer to do a lunch and learn, where we'll buy a lunch for a group, and we'll talk about the technology and just kind of round table it to see how it can be used. So we're really, you know, well equipped to help you get this stuff specified, and we know some of the constraints that you're up against. This is a highly you know, engineered, regulated, and you know, difficult industry to get changes into effect, and we're geared to make sure that happens. So, you know, if something comes up and you're concerned about how you could best use us, just give us a call. We'll get you on the phone with someone that can help you right away.
Okay, just one last question we'll get to as we are out of time. Regarding our LTSA program. That is something that we've been offering with our, just asking for some more information on it. Definitely can find some information on our website, but it is a highly customizable program, and you know, but basically the concept is that with the tooling we can provide you essentially end-to-end coverage with regards to maintenance and overall management of the tools. And that's something that we can offer on a worldwide basis. One of the benefits that I touched on that we can bring to the table is not just simply global coverage, but it is global coverage by dedicated representatives. And with that comes an ability for us to standardize the level of service that you receive. So if you're a company which spans a number of states, a number of countries, what have you, we can put into place an arrangement, an agreement associated with the service of the equipment, pricing on the equipment that is standardized on a completely worldwide basis. So I know that that's something that a number of companies are taking advantage of, and we highly recommend that you consider the same if that's applicable to your organization. So simply let us know. But yes, the LTSA program is something that's becoming more and more popular, and effectively it just covers the tooling for a certain multi-year period, whereby you have better cost control, enabling you certainly to have better visibility as to what the overall cost will be with this equipment, with the ownership of this equipment, as opposed to the past where, yes, we had our warranty, which was unconditional for a one-year period, but beyond that, the responsibility was yours as it pertained to the tooling. And that created some frustrations with some of our customers with regards to maintenance costs and so forth and so on, just overall preventative maintenance programs, so forth and so on. So we take care of all that. We utilize our mobile service vehicles, our local bolting specialists, and I feel that it works very well and delivers significant cost savings and headache reductions to our customers. So definitely inquire with your local representative or our website, and we're happy to expand upon it for you. Okay, that does it for us. We appreciate all of your attention and your time. We will answer some of the other questions that we got that we could not get to. We apologize, but we did run short on time. We'll answer them in an email. If you have any further questions, we're happy to answer them for you. We're happy to come out and visit you and discuss some of your challenges and how it is that HYTORC can address them for you and bring value to you and your organization. So thank you again for your time. We appreciate it, and we hope to speak with you soon. Have a nice day.